Good morning, welcome back to the channel. This morning finds us in, it might be sunny, downtown Silverton, New South Wales, but it's very cold. Just thought I'd go over the map with you. We've taken a little bit of a side tour. We're still following Burke and Wills, but this is where we've started. So we've gone from Melbourne, Victoria, followed the line up here through almost into Bendigo, just slightly beside Bendigo, towards the Murray River to Swan Hill, where we stayed a couple of days. Burke and Will stayed a couple of days. Then we found our way north through a lot of scrub country, a little bit of sand dunes and so on, to Balranald. On from Balranald, kept going north in a slightly northwest direction up to Mungo National Park. We did a little bit of a detour in around Mungo National Park. Absolutely brilliant place. So if you're ever in the neighbourhood, call in. It's worth the effort. From there, we came across slightly through some of the, I'll say, desert areas of Western New South Wales, up to Broken Hill, and then again a slight detour out to Silverton, here in New South Wales. So from there, we'll come back into Broken Hill, back up the highway here, and that's when we'll start our track up towards Tibooburra. But that'll be a little bit later on, but that'll give you a bit of an idea as to where we are and where it sits in relation to the rest of the country. Distance-wise, we have covered from Melbourne to here around about 1,200 kilometres, and that's not in a straight line, and it wasn't going the shortest route that we could because it's following Burke and Will, so it's a bit of a zigzag operation across the states. Due to the private properties that are in the area, we aren't able to follow their exact route, but we can keep pretty close to it, and the route that we've taken does crisscross their original path. But here in Silverton, I have decided that we're going to rotate the wheels on the truck. Because of the style of the tyre, they're a block pattern tyre. If I don't do this sort of thing, they're going to wear very, very unevenly. So we can head off over to the truck and I'll show you how we handle the wheel changing side of it. And a little bit later, we'll do a tour around Silverton. It has a real interesting history, Silverton. For those that know the movie side of things, Mad Max was filmed here. They used all this area here because of its history, but because of the remoteness of the area and the apocalyptic landscape, that it suited the filming industry perfectly for this. And Mel Gibson and the rest of the crew spent a fair bit of time out here filming. So that was one part of the history. Most people will be familiar with the name BHP, Billiton. It's Australia's probably best known and one of the wealthiest mining companies Australia has. It's a global company. Well, it was formed here in Silverton in 1885 in what was then the Silverton Hotel. The agreement was drawn up and BHP was born. We'll have a bit of a walk around the town a little bit later, but for now, I've got to get into these tyres and change those around. So we'll go over to the truck and I'll show you how the crane works in the back there to get our wheels out, and then give you a brief rundown on what we've got to do from there. Cheers. As you can imagine, the spare wheel is just far too heavy to manhandle. I believe it is in the vicinity of about 180, 200 kgs, and I'm not about to wrestle with that. That'll give you some idea as to just how big the wheels are. A slight idea of how heavy they are. We'll get the rest of the tools. I'll just crack all the wheel nuts. And then I can rattle them off. Before I rattle them off, I can jack it up. It's always handy to have a cheater bar, which is that. Without that, you wouldn't move them. Try and keep the wheel nuts out of the dirt. Protect the threads. Okay. And just walk the wheel off. Take care not to damage things. You've only got to jack the truck up just a little bit. You don't have to jack it up a long way, and just walk the wheel off. It's a lot easier on solid ground than digging up the sand. Just move this out of the way. Yeah. Just make sure everything's clean, your wheel nuts, studs, threads are all clean, including the backing. You don't want dirt build up into there. That causes the wheel to run out of alignment. And some never seize, anti-seize, copper coat, whatever you want to call it, just to protect those threads. For some reason, most people don't use it. Just walk the new one in. We're rotating all 4 wheels, including the spare. Make sure we get good mileage out of our tyres. You can do this using a square mouth shovel on the base of the tyre, or using the tyre levers. On solid ground, it makes it a lot easier because they're not going to dig into the dirt. You might have to turn the hub. In this case, we've got to turn the rear. just rotate it using the bars. I know that there'll be wheel and tyre experts out there that'll tell you how to do it. Good on you. When you're in the dirt, I guess like I said, you can get a square mouth shovel, put it underneath the bottom of the wheel and rotate it using the handle on the shovel there to turn your reel and lift it slightly. I didn't bring the square mouth, so the trusty tyre levers are going to have to do. Nip them up. The truck does have a dedicated jacking point, which is pretty safe. The jack, if it's positioned properly, shouldn't slip out of there and allow you to jack the truck up quite safely. Don't get under them if there's no wheels and things like that on them. What I would normally do if I was working on it and I had to get under there is I'll take the spare wheel or whatever wheel I've got off the truck, I'll put it underneath, then hopefully if it comes down, it only comes down as far as that wheel is. And I'm not as big as that wheel, so that'll give you some sort of protection. Not infallible, but it helps. Okay. We're all torqued up, ready to rock and roll. The fun part is, get about another 50 to 100k, we'll have to walk around and just check them all, make sure that they're all still to tension. So for those that were interested on how we change a tyre or a wheel on the truck, that's how we do it. I'll have to put the spare back, but I'll be rotating them around from front to left. I'm going to do all the wheels. Cross them diagonally. Hopefully we'll get good wear out of the tyres by doing that. I was going to do them about every 5,000k, but I think every 10,000, just looking at the wear on the tyres, about every 10,000k will be sufficient. So that's how we do it. Cheers.